Hello, welcome to Scott Bryant Fitness Systems, and this video is all about how to get stronger at home. And you can definitely get stronger at home, but there's a bit of confusion about how to do that. And I'm Scott Bryant, and I've been a personal trainer for 25 years and a master C.H.E.K certified practitioner in London. And this video is going to cover what equipment you need, what rest you need, what exercise you need, what food you need, and how to design the best home workout program. So let's get straight into it. The exercise equipment you can use is bands, resistance bands, dumbbells, kettlebells, Swiss balls, a yoga mat, a BOSU, and a TRX. And that's all I use. Oh, and I've got a body blade as well. So I use all these bits of equipment in which to keep my body in shape, aged 53, and I'm about 15 stone at the moment. Right, so let's talk about hormones. If you're in your 20s, then training at home is absolutely superb for you to gaining strength and size. Remembering that in the first 8 to 12 weeks, you will improve by 100%. If you're in your, say, 16 to 22 to 25. Does that make sense? Because your hormones are raging. That's why you don't need testosterone supplements. You just need to have a very good program design, either by me or by a top professional, in which for you to keep gaining week in, week in, week out, week in, week out. And I guarantee you 100% that if you're not improving by 100% within them 8 to 12 week period, you're obviously doing something completely wrong. Does that make sense? So if you're young, your hormones are raging. If you're older, say you're 53 like me, it may be harder for you to gain strength, especially if you've been a beer head or you've been a coke head or you've been not looking after yourself. Does that make sense? But you can change it, you can reverse it. So I would say from 40 onwards, home training, you'll probably improve by about 50% in the first 8 to 12 weeks. Remember that whatever age you are, you will hit a plateau when you're indoors. Because unless you've got, say, 160 kilo to do deadlifts indoors, then you won't keep improving. Does that make sense? And that's when you may need to go to the gym. So go and get your hormones checked if you're over 40. If you're under 40, you won't really need to get them checked. But if you're stressed and tired all the time, you may have a fungal infection, you may have a hormone problem, which is coming from the fungal infection and stuff like that, or a parasite infection, which I look at as a master level 5 C.H.E.K practitioner. So when it comes to gaining strength at home and size and muscle, it's very, very important for you to get adequate rest. Some people it's 6 hours, some people it's 8 hours, some people it's 12 hours. You've got to find what's unique for you and how much sleep that you really need. But make sure you're in bed by 10:30 to 11:30 and sleeping all the way through, not waking up to have a wee, but sleeping all the way through until you wake up at 6 in the morning or 9 in the morning, depending on what's best for you. Remember, it's all individual. It's not set in stone. So when it comes to food, I'm going to recommend a book called Beyond Brawn if you're a skinny guy and you want to gain some size. There's some good information in that book about eating for gaining size and getting stronger. But when it comes to food, it's really important for you to eat high amounts of protein. You don't need protein shakes really. I only have a protein shake when I'm training because I want to help counter-react or help build muscle during the workout and how counter-react that I'm getting muscle or ligament problems by reducing protein intake. Does that make sense? So I'll have a drink, and it's nice to be focused by having a protein drink next to you when you're working out to hydrate yourself. But it's not going to be as good as water. Does that make sense? So when it comes to food, find out what your metabolic type is. Are you a protein type? Are you a carb type? Are you a mixed type? If you put the wrong fuel inside the body, you won't get the results that you're looking for. Does that make sense? It doesn't mean that everybody should eat 20 grams of protein a day. It's an individual thing. None of us look the same. None of us move the same. Does that make sense? You might have blue eyes, I've got brown eyes. You might have small shoulders, I've got big shoulders. So remember, food and nutrition has to be individualized for your metabolic type. Find out what your metabolic type is, eat according to that, and then you should see your body starting to change. Now, when it comes to exercise, it's really important for you to do compoundment exercises like the deadlift, the squat, the pressing, the pulling, okay? Now, with press-ups, they will only get you so far, and then you need to add weight, as in doing one arm pressing on the Swiss ball that I do, or chest pressing on the Swiss ball, or chest pressing from the floor. The same with leg work. If you want to get your legs stronger, start off by doing 3 sets of 15 reps, 3 sets, making sure you have a minute rest between each set. Then once you've done that for like 4 weeks or 8 weeks, then build up to 4 sets, then 5 sets, then 6 sets. Then you know that you've improved in strength in your legs. And this is exactly how I design my clients' programs. Depending on their fitness levels and their strength levels is how much I will give them over time. So let's say the client can't do 10 press-ups to start off with. So I'll start off with 5, then as they get to 10, then increase it to 20. Once they get to 20, then I get them doing benching either on the floor or on the ball or on the bench, in which to increase their strength. Does that make sense? Don't just stay in the one exercise thinking that your strength's going to keep improving, because it won't. Does that make sense? And I've got 32 years of mass training to my record in which to know what I'm talking about. So when you are trying to gain strength, remember you need to know what your 1 rep maximum is for each exercise. Does that make sense? You may not be able to do that with just a squat on its own and a press up on its own, but just go by the amount of repetitions you can do. So if you can do 20 repetitions of a press up really easily, then what you need to do is load something on your back or make the press up harder, so then that way you get more strength. Does that make sense? So with bicep curling, it's easy. You just add more weight once you can do 12 reps. Or if you want to get more powerful in the bicep, you go down from 1 to 6 reps. Does that make sense? And then you go up to 12 to 25 if you want to build endurance in that muscle. Because you've got to remember that the muscles in the body, this is where it gets a bit confusing. The abdominal wall is a speed and power muscle. Okay? The back muscles are endurance muscles. Does that make sense? The quads are more of an endurance muscle, whereas the hamstring is a speed and power muscle. So if you look at most sprinters, their hamstrings are massive, in which to get the power out of the blocks to blast away. Does that make sense? If you look at a boxer, apart from the heavyweight guys, they don't really have massive chests, because they're in that posture all the time. It'll pull them forward if they're not stretching the pectoral muscle enough. Does that make sense? You look at some boxers and from the side, they got forward head and they're leaning forward simply because they're in that stance all the time, and their program design is not addressing the forward head posture and that rounded shoulder, because they're like that, protecting themselves all the time. Does that make sense? So getting stronger at home can definitely work. If you'd like to have a program designed for me, it's 150 quid a program. Please comment, please like, and please subscribe to the YouTube channel. I've done over 2,000 videos now, covering many different subjects. So if you want to get bigger arms, there's a video for that. If you want to get bigger shoulders, there's a video for that. If you want bigger legs, there's a video for that. So I hope you enjoyed this video. Please subscribe, please like, please share. Bye. bang.